I'm holding about $1,500 of hiking pants from some of the outdoor industry's most popular brands. And I don't really love any of them. Now don't get me wrong, they are all good in some ways and perform well in certain circumstances, but they are also compromised in many ways. One is weather resistant but too hot for the warmer months. Another is highly durable but has horrible range of motion. And another is lightweight and breathable but can't handle tough conditions. So I set out to create what I hope will be the one hiking pant to rule them all. There are three critical components in creating any product: material, design, and construction. Do all three of these well and you'll have a great product. For the materials of these pants, I decided to use Tweed Durastretch 520E stretch woven fabric for almost the entire pant. I have found many Tweed Durastretch fabrics to be very high quality and offer superior comfort, stretch, and durability to most other brands of stretch woven fabrics I've used. I haven't used this particular concoction of Durastretch fabric yet in any of my designs, so I'm curious to see how it performs. For the waistband, I use a 1.5-inch elastic webbing instead of a traditional belt or webbing. Finally, I use some 500D Cordura nylon, invisible YKK zippers, and plastic snaps on the pockets. When designing these pants, I had 5 goals in mind. First, they need to have awesome range of motion. I need to be able to hike, rock climb, ice climb, and ski in these pants without restriction. Second, they need to offer good weather protection. I live and recreate primarily in the western United States. The weather can range from wet and cold to dry and hot and everything in between, often in the same day. 3, they need to offer effective ventilation. Pretty much all fabric blocks airflow to some extent, especially fabrics that are weather resistant. Therefore, these pants need to have effective mechanical ventilation to keep the air flowing. 4, they need to be comfortable under a hip belt. Rubbing and chafing under a backpack hip belt is a common problem with pants, especially when wearing a belt, so I want to keep this waist as flat and simple as possible. 5, they need to be durable. I will use these pants for backpacking, rock climbing, ice climbing, backcountry skiing, and many other outdoor activities, and I want them to last a decade or longer. The production of any design starts with a pattern. I've made patterns from scratch many times before, like in my Gore-Tex jacket video, or these ski pants that will be the topic of a future video. But for these hiking pants, I took a pair of worn-out jeans of which I already like the fit, cut them along the seams to make pattern pieces, and then traced the pieces onto the fabric. I cut out the pattern pieces and quickly sewed them up to test the fit. The pants were too tight in the legs.
But these are my recreation clothes.
Well, actually, they were too tight everywhere. My wife didn't even like them. So I adjusted the pattern to add some volume, then traced the new pattern pieces to the fabric and cut them out. To ensure proper range of motion, I added some darts in the knees for articulation and a gusset in the crotch. Because these pants have a stretchy waist, a traditional button or zipper fly isn't necessary to get them on and off, so I replaced it with an invisible zipper for when nature calls. And instead of traditional hand or rear pockets, I opted for 2 low-profile cargo pockets on the thighs that are still usable while wearing a climbing harness. For venting, I added inseam vents and external seam vents to the upper thigh for each leg. Many companies use external thigh vents on their pants, but they work very poorly. Having 2 vents, one on the outside and one on the inside, is critical. Let me illustrate why. Let's imagine for a moment that this house is the inside of a pant. If you get too warm, you open up a vent to cool off. But you don't always get the best airflow with just one vent. But what if I go to the other side and open up another vent? And then if I close the vent, airflow stops. Open the vent. Finally, I sewed a section of Cordura nylon around the cuff of each leg. The main goal here is to add grommets to the hem so that I can tie the pants down with cord over my boots and use them as a built-in gaiter to keep snow or trail debris out. Having a no-stretch fabric here allows for a tighter seal with the gaiter that doesn't allow snow or mud to work its way in. Unfortunately, I'm out of grommets at the moment, so I'll add those later. After cutting all the pattern pieces, I sewed them together using a zigzag stitch along most of the seams to allow the seam to stretch. So here's my finished prototype. I think it's time to go test them out. We're just leaving my house. We're going to drive up toward Willard Peak. There's a dirt road that goes 2/3 of the way up the mountain. We're going to take that. Alright, so we got to where we're going to hike. The road was closed, so we didn't get quite as close as I was intending. There's the dog pooping. And the peak man is way out there in the distance. So, better get to it. Well, it's a beautiful day, but it's getting quite warm. These pants are feeling awesome so far. Let's see if I can show you what they look like. It's warming up, so I'm going to zip open my vents and see how that works. It's kind of a two-hand job, I'm afraid. All right, we'll see if that helps. Some people may wonder if I hate being so hot, why don't I just hike in shorts? Well, this is why. This is what we've been hiking through for a while. And my legs would be absolutely destroyed. Whoa! This is steep. Good girl. Alright, let's go. Alright, that's the goal. Just behind that, actually. Up here. Good girl. Good girl. Well, we're probably about 40 minutes from the top of Willard Peak, but I'm out of time. I've got to get home. Unfortunately, we won't top out today, but I did, with all the bushwhacking, the extra hiking, did get a good test of these pants, and I'll go into more detail here in a minute. I made it back to the road and we're hustling to the car. About a mile probably, should be there in about 12 minutes. Oh, well, made it back to the car and it is hot. It's about 88 degrees Fahrenheit right now and we are roasting. So now it's time to drive on home. See you in a bit. Well, it's been about 2 weeks of testing with these pants and I've been able to hike, climb, drive.
I've missed a lot of good stuff.
And just lounge in these pants. Here's what I found. First of all, the fit is great. The pattern could be refined a touch, but the combination of this pattern and the stretchy fabric allowed for awesome range of motion. And at no point did I feel like the pants were too baggy nor too tight. The stretchy waist stayed where it was supposed to and was quite comfortable under a hip belt. The fabric was quite durable. This is the worst of the damage after about an hour of nasty bushwhacking. I don't love huge thigh or cargo pockets on my pants, but the size, shape, and volume of these pockets were just about perfect. Finally, the leg vents worked quite well. It was a hot day when I was hiking, almost 90 degrees Fahrenheit, so even with the vents open, I was warm and sweaty. But I did notice good air circulation with those vents open. At one point, I zipped the vents closed just to see if I'd noticed much of a comfort difference, and the temperature inside the pants increased immediately and significantly. But the pants weren't perfect. I thought the thigh pockets would be enough, and I kind of wanted to keep the waist area pretty clean and low profile. But I found myself wishing I had a little pocket to throw some car keys or some chapstick that would be easy access. And maybe it was just a really hot day, but I kind of found myself wishing that the thigh vents were just a few inches longer for a little bit more airflow. I have a similar thigh vent design on some backcountry ski pants that I made, and the venting works amazingly well. But each zipper is an inch or two longer than what's on the hiking pants. The final problem has to do with the fabric itself. Most outdoor softshell garments have a brushed or peached texture next to the skin to help it feel soft and comfortable, and a smooth exterior with a water-repellent finish. These pants have this smooth water-repellent finish on both sides. After hours of hiking, I found the interior fabric to feel slightly irritating against my sweaty skin, particularly on my knees. I think these pants would have been more comfortable if the interior of the fabric had a softer treatment. So did I succeed in making the best hiking pants in the world? Not yet. They are very good, but I've already come up with some ways to make them even better, which I'll show you in some future episodes. Leave me a comment below. What do you think of the pants?
They look expensive.
Thank you. I mean, yes. They may have the appearance of riches, but beneath the clothes, we find a man. And beneath the man, we find his nucleus.
Nucleus?
Yes.